To help us really understand what's going on here, we have with us today Mark Valencia, a research associate at the National Bureau of Asian Research. Thanks for being with us today. Now, the Chinese general Chen Bingde said that the U.S. military exercises are a bad idea given the circumstances. What are your thoughts on this?
Well, it depends on whose perspective, of course, you're talking from. For China, of course, they're a bad idea because the U.S. exercises undermines the stick part of China's strategy. It also emboldens these smaller countries and maybe the other claimants as well to quote unquote stand up to China. For the U.S., first of all, the exercise with the Philippines was already scheduled, and that with Japan and Australia as well. So to back off or not hold them would be a sign of pure weakness. On the other hand, to move ahead with new exercises, say with Vietnam or any of the other claimants, could be considered provocative.
So what is China's strategy here? How does it plan to negotiate its way out of this situation?
China has long had a strategy, number one, to not internationalize the disputes. And that language is somewhat puzzling, but what they mean is to not involve countries from outside the region, that is, the United States. Secondly, China wants to negotiate bilaterally with each of the other claimants. Does not want to negotiate with them as a group, and it certainly doesn't want to negotiate with ASEAN, the 10-member association, 6 of whom have no claim at all, but on this issue to negotiate as a bloc. So China's strategy is bilateral and no internationalization. On both counts, she's not doing very well.
So if China is trying to avoid internationalizing these disputes by negotiating bilaterally with every individual country, is there a basic strategy here to divide and conquer?
I guess you could say that. I don't know about the conquer part, but divide and reach resolution with each of them. Now, unfortunately, many of these areas are claimed by more than one country or 2 countries. So if you negotiate, you cannot negotiate just bilaterally because the interests of 3rd and 4th parties are also involved. For example, Vietnam claims almost as much area and islands as does China.
The Philippine government says that it's going to take its claims to the United Nations. Now, given that China sits on the UN Security Council, what are the chances you think that they'll be able to get the UN to do anything here?
I would say slim and none. As you point out, China sits on the Security Council. It can delay, it can obfuscate, it can generalize any statement that might be issued by the General Assembly. Plus, of course, it has a lot of friends in the UN. We shouldn't underestimate that.
All right, so one final question. What do you think the chances are, at the end of the day, that this conflict could escalate into some sort of armed confrontation between China and any of these neighbors, especially one that could bring in the United States?
Would the United States come to the violent assistance of the Philippines or Vietnam because of an incident involving China? I don't think so. And I think what's happening now will be an attempt to cool these countries down so that they do not create a situation that would lead to possible conflict. The real question is, will China and the U.S. come to conflict? Well, perhaps in the future, but not now. It is in neither's interest to do so now, and I think our leaders on both sides know that.
Link TV is the only U.S. network dedicated to global and national news, uncompromising documentaries, and diverse cultural programs. Programs which connect you to the world. To learn more, visit linktv.org.